Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of this 3-part series in understanding how to handle audio in Wwise. In part 1, we focused on proper organization, importing audio, triggering events using the Events tab and the Soundcaster. So, if you haven't already, go check out part 1 because we're going to be using the same project and we're just going to build on top of it for this lesson. In this video, we're going to dive deeper into the mixing and the interactive side of Wwise. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to build a clean master bus structure, how to use Aux Busses, and use RTPC for 2 different things, to control a blend weather system and to control tension layers within your music. So with all that being said, let's go back to our project and create some magic. So we have all of our sounds nicely organized in our project, but there is no mixing structure yet. A little terminology before we start. A clear mixing structure in most musical mixes, but specifically for Wwise too, is essential because it keeps your project organized, and it lets you control whole categories of audio at once. Buses act like volume and effects groups, sending route sounds into shared effects like reverbs, and Aux Busses hold those effects. Together, they make our mix cleaner, more efficient, and easier to edit things like RTPCs, sidechaining, and other effects. And I will be saying this a lot, but don't worry if you don't understand now. It's okay. I will guide you step by step, and just seeing it in action will help you understand better. Trust me, it took me some time to get it too. To set up our mixing structure, we will go into our Project Explorer and go into our Master Mixer hierarchy. So the same way we organized our sounds in part 1 to create our project, we will apply a similar method here. Open up until you see the Master Audio Bus. And for now, we will be using the default work unit. Having the Master Audio Bus selected, right-click or go to the icons on the top and create a new child of an audio bus. We will create 3 different audio buses: dialogue, music, and sound effects. Sometimes you can have another bus called, for example, ambient, that is apart from the sound effects. But since ambient sounds are our only type of sound effects that we have, we can place a bus called Ambience within our sound effects bus to keep it more organized naming-wise. Make sure that when you're adding buses, you click onto the parent you want the bus to go under. If you just keep selecting to create a new bus, it will add it under the previous one you added. Same as we did with ambiences, let's make even more precise sends so we can distinguish even more between sends. In the dialogue bus, add 2 more buses and name them DX 2D Narrator, which will be for our main character, and DX 3D NPC characters, which will be for our one-shot characters. The reason for this is that usually NPCs can change in distance from the player, so stating it as a 3D sound is better practice. And the main character is usually the player, and the sound usually stays in the same place. And then for our music bus, add a child bus and call it MX Overworld, since our music is for the overworld portion of our game. Lastly, in our mixing structure, let's add a reverb send. So create a new child, and this time using the Aux bus. This stays separate from everything else and will become important later. Let's color code this to make sure that our things are easier to find later when our project starts to get big. And we're done setting up our busing structure. Now let's start sending our sounds to our buses. Select our MX Overworld playlist and go over to the general settings. Output the bus and select your MX Overworld bus. Now our MX Overworld playlist is being sent to our bus. This is why it's important to have buses within buses, because if I had a battle theme, I would send the battle playlist to the battle bus that would be in my music bus. Then also, let's say if you need to change the overall level of the music playlist, you would just have to lower the parent music bus and not each individual music bus. Cool, let's do that with our other sounds. Now all of our sounds are sending to our buses we've created. Now, to add reverb with our Aux Busses. There is a lot you can do, but I will show you one simple thing for our ambiences. Our ambiences are placed outside of our game, so having some outdoor sounding reverb would be good. To do this, select your Ambience Actor Mixer and in the general settings, find this auxiliary bus. Select it and find the Reverb Aux Bus that we created. Now our ambiences are also being sent to our reverb. Now to add what type of reverb we want. Select your Reverb aux, go to Effects and right-click and add an effect. There's a lot of options, but select the room verb as it's a reverb and choose whichever reverb you'd like. I'm going to select Have You Ever Been Outside, which is funny because it's a perfect choice for us. You can adjust how much reverb you want to send here. And we go to our Soundcaster and play our sound effects to test it out. Great, we're all done with our mixing structure and our sends. Let's work on making our mix react to what happens in the game. I'm going to show you 3 different uses of real-time parameter controls, RTPCs, to make your game more interactive. The third way can be seen in part 3 of this video. For now, I'm just going to show you the first 2 ways. The first way is by creating tension in your music using layers. So we have our 3 layers of our music set up. One is the theme, which will remain the same throughout, and the others are percussive elements that make the music more intense and will come in during those more intense moments of gameplay. Go over to the Game Syncs tab and in the Game Parameters, create a work unit called Music Parameters. Create a child of an RTPC and name it RTPC Tension. Just make sure that your interpolation is set to slew rate. This just means that it will smoothly transition from one sound into the next instead of instantly jumping to the next sound, kind of like a fade. Now for our looped music layers, we will only add that RTPC to layer 2 and 3, the percussive elements. Click on layer 2 and go to RTPC, select the effect you want to alter. We just want to make the sound fade in and out depending on the tension parameter, so we will alter the volume of it. Now select the RTPC we've just created. See how this color line pops up? It lets you change the effectiveness of the y-axis, which is the effect of the voice volume, over the x-axis, the intensity of the music. So we want it to start with no tension. Then when tension rises to, let's say, about 50, click to add a dot to edit the line. So in order to hear no sound, we would put the line all the way down, and the set volume of whatever the sound is would just be at 0. Cool, let's do the same thing to our third layer, but make it enter when there's even more tension in the game, so like at around 75. To test it, just click play and all the layers will play together since their music tracks within a segment are all together. You can move around the RTPC flag to hear your tension in action. Another use for RTPC is to create a weather system for your game. So in our game, we have nice rain sound effects, but I want there to be a thunderstorm that comes and then eventually we bring in birds that go away when the rain and thunder comes. And we can do that by using real-time parameter controls and a weather blender. First, I'll quickly just import some rain and thunder sounds since we didn't do it in the last video. And of course, let's make sure that both of these loop. Once you have your sounds, go into the Game Syncs tab and under the Game Parameter, we'll add a work unit called Weather Parameters. Create a child of an RTPC and name it RTPC Rain. Okay, so we added our RTPC to our rain parameter idea. Now let's make a blend container. A blend container is a way of telling Wwise how much a specific layer of sound you should play depending on the parameters we set. So like how heavy our rain is and if the birds start to go away and if the thunder begins to come, for example. To add a blend container, select our 2D environmental ambiences folder and create a child of the blend container. Make sure your sounds are under it. Having the blend container selected, go to the blend track and select New Blend Track. Let's name it Birds. Click Crossfade so we can add our RTPC we just created. Now repeat the process for our rain and our thunder. So we want this sound to begin with just clear birds, and then the rain slowly fades in from the distance in lowering the bird sounds. Then the thunder comes at the highest point of intense weather. To do this, add a y-axis that controls something of the sound. For the birds, let's control the voice volume. For our x-axis, add the RTPC so it knows what to do linearly. That colored line showed up again, the same process as our tension music. So it shows the y-axis, the voice volume, over the x-axis, this time the intensity of the weather parameter. So let's say we want to have our x-axis at a 0 intensity, so no crazy weather. The y-axis can start at 0 dB, which is the set volume the sound is already playing at. Click on the line to add a dot, and then when it hits 50 intensity, the birds completely go away. To make this more smooth, click on the transition line, I guess you could call it, and you can select what type of fade curve you would like. Let's do the same for our rain and thunder, maybe adding a bit more filters and effect and editing those intensity curves. Lastly, we have to add our sounds into the blend track. Go into the contents and drag your sounds in and then respectively drive them to the proper track we've created. Now that we have them as this yellow box, place the box into the parameters you've set of where you want the sound to be heard. It makes for a more seamless transition and saves headroom in your audio. Again, click play and move the flag around to hear your weather change. And that's all for part 2. Now you guys know how to create a solid mixing structure and how to use RTPCs for weather containers and tension layers in your music. In the last and final part 3 video of this series, you're going to learn about sidechaining and how to use RTPCs to better enhance your sidechaining techniques. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and go watch the next video because you guys are so close to becoming masters at handling audio in Wwise. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give a thumbs up, and leave in the comments any questions that you guys have. Keep scoring, keep exploring, and as always, happy creating. See you guys in part 3.